plastics. There's a lot of sanitary waste as well because the sewers further upstream have overflowed. Everything goes into the river. I've never seen it this bad.
This is my coffin, and I wanted to be dramatic. And on here we have the river itself, 155 miles, and you can see all of the pollutants. For many years I've been monitoring and logging the water. I'm in the river every day, and for the last 35 years I've never seen anything like it.
From the project, our presentation will start with the first part of the current state of flooding in the UK. Flooding causes up to 1.1 billion pounds of damage in the UK each year, and the damage caused by flooding hazards is countless, leading to environmental health issues such as reduced water quality, soil erosion, and river pollution, in addition to the economic loss to the public and government due to damage to infrastructure and disruption to business and agriculture. As can be seen from the data, flooding caused the most economic damage to businesses and housing. As can be seen from the bar chart on the left, the highest percentage of river pollution is from pollutant discharges from water companies, CSOs, an issue that is the focus of this project and will be pursued in depth later. Common types of flooding in the UK, including flash flooding, river flooding, coastal flooding, groundwater flooding, surface water flooding, and sewer flooding. Our project focuses on sewer flooding because of its increasing frequency in urban environments and the severity of its impacts. Causes of sewer flooding include increased urbanization, poor agricultural practices, and deforestation. Together, these factors contribute to overloading and damaging sewer systems, making them susceptible to flooding events. Sewer flooding can have multiple impacts, including pollution of surrounding water bodies and ecosystems, threats to people's health, and contamination of croplands and grazing lands. This is a pressing issue for a highly urbanized country such as the UK, as it relates to our quality of life, economy, and environmental sustainability. There are countless incidents of flood pollution in the UK, which seriously affects the quality of water and the ecological balance of the area, and many people's organizations have tried to reflect this state of affairs to the community through their own measures, such against the sewage, for example, works to protect marine and coastal areas from the threat of sewage overflows and water pollution. Their actions may also be a reminder that this is a social and environmental issue and requires the knowledge and participation of all people. So what exactly are CSOs? In the most parts of the UK, the sewerage network is set up as a combined system. This means that our sewage and surface water flow into the same pipework before entering the treatment works. However, when the sewage system is overloaded, for example due to heavy rainfall, water companies can use combined sewer overflows, CSOs, and pumping stations to release untreated human sewage and wastewater into the environment. This is an instance of a CSO. It's an emergency safety measures designed to prevent the sewerage system from overloading and to prevent sewage from backing up into buildings and streets. But in 2021 alone, water companies illegally discharged sewage into rivers and oceans more than 370,000 times for 2.7 million hours, and over 5,550 instances of sewage discharges affecting drinking water. We are increasingly concerned that such illegal discharges are being used to treat untreated sewage on a regular basis, even when there is little or no rainfall at all. We have mapped hotspots in different parts of the UK, the extent of the impacts, the future flood rates, and through these maps we can clearly see the serious impact that could be caused by flooding in the Thames Basin. Based on our analysis and surveys, we have concluded that in the UK there are three main types of pollution brought to rivers by flooding: urban groundwater overflows and surface flooding, agricultural and livestock flooding, and combined sewer overflows. The most serious of these are urban groundwater overflows and CSOs. Even from the chart you can see that overflow spills are still growing every year from 2016 to 2021. And the water companies are in a constant state of pollution discharge. From the distribution of the GIS data, it can be seen that CSOs are the most densely discharged in the north of England, but urban flood pollution is predominantly located in the Thames Basin. The River Thames flows from west to east, and polluting discharges from Oxford, which is located in a swing position, will not only affect local water quality, but also our waters downstream, which is a major concern for bathing water and drinking water. Apart from that, Thames Basin, one of the most important hydrological regions in the UK, the Thames Basin covers a large number of cities and districts. It includes important cities such as London, Oxford, and Reading. Thames Basin also faces problems with flooding. There is a long and complex history of flooding, particularly in the Oxford area. There has been a lot of confusion about flood management, including how to prevent flood effectively and how people can be better engaged in managing flooding. In the UK and the Thames Basin, the government and local authorities have adopted a range of policies to manage flooding. Some good policies include the development of flooding risk assessment plans, investment in flood defenses, the development of early warning systems, and increased flood education and preparedness. However, there are also shortcomings, namely the lack of public participation in flooding issues. Public participation is essential in flood management, as they are the people directly affected and a key component of effective flood prevention and response. Managing floods often involves a number of key agencies and organizations. This includes environment agency, local authorities, water companies, and specialized flood management teams. These agencies and organizations play an important role in preventing, monitoring, and responding to flooding, often from the top down. By introducing policies to manage flooding and ensure that the UK is able to respond in a timely and effective manner when faced with all types of flooding threats. In addition to national level organization, the active involvement of local governments and communities is vital. Local government sets policy, communities provide key information, and organizations collaborate to increase effectiveness. These three work to tandem to ensure that we are better equipped to deal with flooding. Public involvement and engagement is key to achieving success in flood management because only by working together can we build safer and more resilient communities. Therefore, the positive engagement of the public is important. The game, as a platform in engagement, can be effective raising interest, and it's only when people truly understand the risk and impacts of flooding that we can take more effective prevention and relief measures. This is why we have focused on flood game, as it's a powerful educational tool. In the second part, we will focus on engagement. At present, some related research fields are developing educational flood participation games. However, some of them are too specialized or complicated or simply experience what it's like to be in a flood, and do not allow people to think deeply about what's behind the flood and causes of ecological disruption and environmental pollution. At the same time, other games of an entertainment nature usually use floods as a general background, and they focus more on entertainment without necessarily emphasizing real flood management. So our combination of all the above game reference decided to make our project a detailed game with a fun twist.
Such as economic property, which can be seen on the surface. There are also hidden in legal practice. But the news and investigations found that Thames water has been illegally discharging sewage for a long time, leading to water pollution and even causing health problems for nearby residents. Oxford has a long history of flooding, with flooding mainly affecting the northeast area of the city, largely due to the topography of the Oxford. Oxford CSO's discharge points are distributed around the Oxford city boundary, and when these points begin to discharge, pollutants travel downstream. The background to the issue of water companies discharging is actually quite complex, and during the investigation, it became clear that he was involved with a number of government organizations, with the source of the decision on whether or not he could discharge coming from the Oxford Regulatory Organization, which the water company was required to pay a fee to in order to be allowed to discharge. As can be seen from the above, there are two main types of flood pollution problems in the Oxford urban area, but there are no corresponding improvement measures in Oxford due to surface and sewer flood caused by hardening of urban land. The other problem of CSOs brought by the water company has been improved after the public response, mainly water quality testing and sewage warning. But in fact, these measures cannot improve the root cause of the problem. After investigating the UK's policy on flooding and Oxford's current situation, we hope to use the sustainable strategies to improve Oxford's flooding situation and add its content to the game to promote its use. This section will be centered around game-related content. Through the evolution of our game map, we went through several versions of the design. Initially, we based the game map on Oxford map and footprints, dividing into square blocks. However, this version didn't meet our needs. In the second version, we combined Oxford elevation maps and land type information to more accurately reflect geography features. At the same time, we simplified Oxford building to make it suitable for a board game format. Eventually, version 3 incorporates Oxford's unique history style of architecture and all previous map data into our final map for the Detective Oxford City web game. Through this evolutionary process, we managed to create an immersive game map.
Game story tasks. The rules of the game are very easy to understanding. We have divided the game into 3 parts. In first stage, you will to talk to the NPC to learn about the flooding and CSO's issues and resolve the quests. The second stage requires players to search the city from relevant clues and informations, earning coins for each one they found. In the third stage, coins are used to upgrade facilities in Oxford to make it more resilient to flooding. Finally, you can show off your city's achievements on our apps, promote discussion and knowledge sharing among the players. The events in the game are mainly derived from the evolution of the real news. In order to achieve a better fit with the real situation in Oxford. The first stage is about understanding the basic of flooding and the CSOs, which particularly belong to the early stage of the accumulating basic knowledge related to the flooding and CSOs, and helps to develop the player's game characters to better cope with the challenges in the following stage. The main objective of the second stage is to collect clues that will lead to the players to discover the full depth of the pollution event as well as the benefits associated behind it to help the players better understand what's going on. We took the real events of the stage and to develop into them, combine it and incorporated them into the storyline of the game we created. Each event and quest happen in the connected loop, trying the story, the quests, and the characters. And these events, which take place designed locations, each related to real-world Oxford. This design allows players to better engage with the game world and feel the emotions and the environments associated with the real Oxford, while interacting with the NPCs to make a story more immersive. The characters are based on the real events as in the game storyline, which will help the players understand the complexity of the various organizations behind the scenes. Some multiplied events which correspond to them. And may point of the more than of the characters will greatly enhance the player's room for the insights and judgment. For the non-players characters in the game, it will give them intelligent setting, linking each character's unique story and personality description with the AI chat. So that certain characters will have the certain thinking ability when communicating with the players according to the setting. For example, some characters may lie to the players to hide the relevant clues or misrepresent the facts, so as to achieve the maximization of the game degree of the freedom. The players get some the pointing clues by the talking to NPCs to guide the players through the map. Different players may come to different conclusions in the game due to the incompleted crews and different routes of the exploration. Players can upgrade in plots randomly with the golden cost or by a treasuring event to upgrade the corresponding plots. In the third stage of the game, players are taking some the transforming and upgrading Oxford into the more resilient flood-proof city. Our retrofitting design was inspired by the UK's SUDS and NFM modification, including the creating of the green wolf, and ecological restoration of the rivers. These measures aim to increase the city's nature flooding defenses and reduce the risk of flooding. Through this stage, players are given a better understanding of the specifics of SUDS and NFMs. Through these modifications and knowledge transfer, players can improve their understanding of these flood defense strategies. Now, let's put the theory knowledge into the practice and get to know more about our flood engaged game through a game experience player video.
Detective Camp is a supportive interaction app for games, and is also an expansion and extension of the game. On the main page of this app, players can view real-time events, such as flood warning information. It is also possible to view games or flood-related events that are being organized, or to sign up for events that they want to attend by view of the calendar. In the shared map screen, players can follow in the navigation to view events placed by other players, or create their own event to share with others. In the information interface, players can add other people as friends and view the real-time news shared by others. To achieve the purpose of interacting and making friends with others, this is the main content of the app. The app is designed with the hope that it can bridge the gap between the game and the reality, so that the game can be better integrated into the player's life. This can be done by players using the app to collect more data and feedback for the game, which will assist the whole game to complete better updates and upgrades, thus making the game run from the initial events formation to player use to the app data collection and feedback, and then to the event formation cycle. The app is hoping to get more local Oxford people involved in flood action, starting with schools and working together to create a better tomorrow for Oxford.